All right, good morning. My name's Kim Saylor. I am the product marketing of fixed operations here at CDK, and with me I have Joe Shaker. Welcome, Joe.
Hello, hello.
So Joe is the owner of Shaker Automotive, as well as the co-founder and president of TruVideo. So super exciting to have him here. Joe, so when you and I talk about the industry and the business, one of the things that I love is that you always share your journey. So tell me a little bit about the journey that you've had and the findings and the changes that you learned in the industry.
So, you know, the joke I always tell people is, I want to die a car dealer. And in order to do that, we needed to kind of change our business. So I was a little nervous. I feared disruption. I started calling customers years ago, maybe 2015, around there. And I asked them how their service was, and we got great responses from everybody. Bought few cars, they knew the service advisor by name. And what happened was, at the end I said, hey, I got one last question. Did you ever have any doubts about the repair order? You paid $1,500, and every customer, these great customers, paused and said, you're always going to have doubts. And so that really changed everything for me, and we started getting into video, using video in fixed operations. And simultaneously, the world was changing because 8 billion videos were done every day on Facebook alone. Now we have TikTok, and we have, so video is not a customer behavior, video is a human behavior. And it really blew wind in our sails, and with texting and asynchronous communication, that also became really part of the way people communicate. So when you add all that together, that's really what started the journey. And then, as you know, video then, I would explain it to dealers, hey, we want to get into doing videos, and they didn't realize the spike in customer experience scores and the spike in customers buying.
Right.
And it really, really changed everything. Yeah. Changed everything at that moment. And then we started building that out, and CDK is with Service View is a great example of how they provide those tools to the dealers.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Joe, you have a really unique perspective because one, you're a dealer. You've been a dealer since you were 24 years old, which is amazing. But you also are, co-founder and president of TruVideo. So you have a unique perspective. So tell me how you're seeing AI being utilized and changing the customer expectations. So the video, we know, has changed it because now people are expecting video and they love getting the videos. But how are you seeing AI change the expectations? So
you're going to hear everywhere you go, AI, 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 and then more AI. And so I always go like, all right, I tell my people at the dealerships, and I tell the people at TruVideo, theory without execution is hallucination, and I don't like to hallucinate. So when we look at how we execute on AI, there's a couple of great examples. We saw when we started doing messaging and video, other problems started to show up. One good example that is, this is all stuff that we use today, by the way. This is not a theory. It's been in market 2 years. It's in the service, it's in the suite from CDK. When we text back customers, we started reading what we were texting back to customers, service advisors. And it was like, as a dealer, I was like, this is fright night. This is like all caps, yup, come get your car. So what we did was we started, we created, the professionalizing it, and that's using language models. So I'll talk a little bit about language models. You hear that with AI, and then there's other things with AI. So now you can type, yup, come get your car at 5, and when you press send, it'll say, yes, it shows here's yours and here's the suggested. Yes, 5 would be great, looking forward to seeing you. You can text me in Mandarin, and I'll get it in English. Then we'll send it to you in English, and you'll get it in Mandarin, Spanish, 52 languages. So I would go to these things in marketing conferences, and people would say, oh, transparency and trust, and they'd be some chief marketing officer at some company, and I'd be like, all right, well, how do you do that? We did that with video. Then you would go to marketing conferences, and they'd say, personalization. Is there anything more personal than speaking to someone in their own language? Right. So we were executing on these, and AI with language models allowed us to do that. We actually have a technician or a service advisor at a huge Toyota store who's Spanish, and what he does is he says, listo. and he pressed send. Now the customer's English, because we see that they spoke English, and really what he said is, it's ready.
Yeah.
And it comes out, great, your car is ready, it's awful. So we have people shorthanding in other languages, pressing the suggested and then firing it off. Here's another a real example of AI that we use today, and you should check it out here. You guys have that example. When we were doing service videos, we started finding more problems, like I said, and background noise was huge. So we had people doing air hammers, and it'd be like, ba, 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 right as you were doing a video, right? Perfect timing. So what happened was we tried using Dolby and all these noise cancellation, it didn't work. So we started using AI to basically train to the voice of the technician. Because your phone has beamforming, it has multiple microphones. This is really the crazy stuff we had to get into. Then we delete the sounds around the voice so that you only could hear the voice. It's like, to me, it blew my mind.
So I tested this, right? So I went to a dealership. I actually asked one technician to be doing a recording, and the tech at the one next to them, bang, just bang. And the tech said, I'll be surprised if that works. It worked.
Yeah.
It took out all that noise.
I saw that video. Yeah, all I heard was like, king, king, and then it all went away.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, if you look at all these different things, and then right now with Ava, the agent chatbot, Ava here, we developed that for you guys, and what we have to do with AI is develop models that are really work for our industry. I'll give you a great example. You're going to see these large language models turn into small language models. So when you call the dealership, no one calls and says, what's the fastest land animal? A cheetah. Now, do you want to come in for breaks tomorrow? That's not really the conversation we're having. We're having conversations around, is that appointment available? What is a 5,000-mile service? These are all the things that we're going to train in a smaller language model because we don't need to know that the fastest land animal is a cheetah.
Right.
So there's another example of AI, and I'll talk a little bit more after about what I see with the agent, as you would hear Salesforce calls the AI agent. I'll talk a little bit about how transformative that's going to be, and there's some real early simple wins on that. Make sure you remind me to touch on that.
Okay. So one of the things that you say, and I'm going to look at my notes to make sure that artificial intelligence makes the customer experience more human. Tell me what you mean.
Yeah, so I did a presentation. I did a presentation one time that said, artificial intelligence makes the customer experience more human. And I twisted the words. And the reason I did is because if you have car dealerships like I do, and you listen to the phone calls going in your dealership, I don't care how well we train our people, boy. There's always something that makes me go sideways. And the real human experience, your knee-jerk reaction is, I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather deal with the live human until you're on hold for 3 minutes, until they drop your call, until you get disconnected, until they keep progressively put you on hold. There's so many problems. And like I gave the example of the professionalism, right? Is replying back to a person, yup, come grab your car at 5, more human? I'd rather it say, looking forward to seeing you and be professional.
Right.
Right? Is not understanding another person's language more human? So it's a little twist on words, but you really have to think about that.
But it's really sort of like a hybrid intelligence because you're using AI, but you're using all of the data that you have, the conversations you've had to be able to make that, be more human.
Through TruVideo, we'll be doing by May, we're going to probably do about 2.5 million customer service video views a month.
Yeah, wow.
So that's a lot of data. So we're taking that unstructured data and we're doing all sorts of crazy things. I'll talk a little bit about it today at some other things, but how do you take that and make that usable? What can we learn from that? Right. So, and then the words and phrases, everything a technician says, everything that goes over our text lines, the summaries, the transcriptions, you know what I mean? So think about transcriptions. And this is where my dealer comes out, right? Because this is where it gets crazy. So transcriptions, you would say that's ADA compliant. Now people can read and they can see at the bottom. But I'll tell you, for a service advisor and a technician, if I'm in a meeting and it's a 1-hour meeting, and I could read what you're telling me and watch the video, I could respond, go ahead and do the work.
Right.
Without the transcription, you're taking the car off the lift, bringing it out, parking the car, waiting for me to respond. I get out of the meeting in an hour, then I call you back or text you. So transcriptions ended up solving the problem of compliance, disabilities. It ended up solving the efficiency for the shop. And then because it's in multi-language, it also crosses a language barrier. So one little thing like transcriptions is really how we can improve lives and help advisors and dealers and everybody provide those experiences. Just like block and tackle well. This isn't really crazy stuff.
So in your store, how receptive have your dealerships been to the AI and utilizing it?
No, it's been really good. I'll give you an example. So one of the things about that I didn't realize when we started doing this AI agent to answer the phones, and by the way, you should check out the messaging portion. I think most of it's going to be messaging. You're going to message in to a concierge and make your appointment. If you ever look at like the schedulers, I just can't imagine me wanting to use a scheduler or we talk to people. They're going to message in or communicate like that versus go in and go, is that day? It's going to be crazy.
It gives them another option, right? It's just one more option.
Some
for the
people
customer.
want a phone call. Some people want to. You got to cover all the bases.
Right.
But if you look at this young generation and on the phones, I'm saying the propensity. So here's what I learned with that. Another thing, flip over a card. With this, this is the craziest thing, is I learned that obviously you know this about an agent, right? 24/7, 5 people can call at the same time. You have all these things that it could do well. Great. But with Ava, you know who hung up.
Right.
So 34% of dealerships, people hang up their phone. And it can't be like, oh, I was on hold, you stink. It could be my daughter called or whatever, but people hang up. I don't know who hung up. That's a real in-market buyer. They just hung up. How about people that go to my scheduler and stop and don't do a schedule? I don't know who hung up. I call that a hang up. They went to scheduler, in market, I need service. I don't know. But when you're with this, it knows everybody that hung up. It pops up who hung up, why they were there. It allows your BDC to follow up with customers. It allows us to send a message to them and say, hey, we noticed you were on. I can continue this conversation with you right now and make an appointment with you here. So those are the things that I notice the most. And we spend thousands of dollars marketing people that come in for service. All I had to do was pick up all the popcorn on the floor of people hanging up. Right. It's crazy.
Well, and you're spending, how much a month on advertising for your service department, and basically the leads that are coming in, whatever the percentage is that you said are hanging up, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy for whatever reason, but that's low-hanging fruit. Those are in-market shoppers that called for service.
Right.
If I could just pick up all those loose crumbs around, I could almost stop the budget of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month.
So, Joe, as a dealer, what advice would you give to other dealers that have been really hesitant about adopting AI in their dealerships?
The way I look at it, I said about execution is, when we started doing the video piece, and I'm going to share the video piece, the same thing I did about AI. Don't change the way you do business. Let's just change the way we communicate. Like, that is really the big thing. And people can't, well, I'm used to doing this, well, customers don't do that. Like, how does a customer want to be communicated to? Right. Well, let's do that. What are the mass statistics on texting? What are the statistics on video consumption? What's the statistics on people wanting an efficient way to make an appointment that's fast and easy? We've got to, I always just go to the customers and ask them, and then we make it so it's executable by the dealership. Because you go to a dealership, people aren't just going to go, yeah, I'll do anything you want me to do. They're used to doing stuff the same way over and over, and we have to drive adoption and for our employees. But you'll look at, just think about, I've heard this stat, 4.8 trillion song downloads in 2024.
Wow.
Look at the adoption, man. I was downloading music how many years ago? 4 years ago? Whatever. And then before that, I had, think of the music adoption and change. You're going to see that same stuff with the AI. It's, as a dealer, you have to be preaching. Where we're going to be where the customers are for real. Right. And here's how we're going to do it. And here's how we're all going to thrive: the customer, the business, and the employees. And when you do that well, you're off to the races. Technology's moving fast. You need to move your people fast. And dealers don't have a working capital problem. We have a human capital problem. So this needs to be the best AI assist ever. It starts there, and then they start moving into things where they can cover more, and that allows the people to be more productive and more personal when you have someone in front of you.
Perfect. Well, Joe, thanks so much for joining us here at CDK Live, and have a great show.
Love hanging with you, Kim.
You too, Joe.
All right.
Thanks.